The gravel crunched under my tires as I pulled into my 80-acre farm after 6 months away, expecting open fields and maybe a stray coyote, but instead, a half-built 3-story hotel loomed where my granddad's old grain silo once stood, courtesy of Linda Carver and her HOA cronies from the neighboring suburb. My heart stopped, rage bubbling, until I remembered the legal trap I'd set before leaving. A trust so tight it'd choke their dreams of a community lodge and make them pay to rip it down. That summer in rural Oregon, Linda's land grab didn't just fail. It cost her everything, freed a neighborhood from her grip, and showed how a quiet farmer with a sharp lawyer can turn a trespass into a triumph. My name's Caleb Monroe, a 42-year-old soil conservationist who spends half the year helping farmers abroad, the other half tending my family's land at 672 Willow Creek Road. A patchwork of fields and wetlands passed down 5 generations. I'm a dirt-under-the-nails guy, but I know my way around a deed. Land's my life, and I guard it like kin. My farm, Willow Bend, sits next to a state forest and Crescent Hills Estates, a fancy development with a pushy HOA led by Linda, a 50-something queen bee who'd been eyeing my acres like a hawk since I turned down her beautification ideas years back. I'd had brushes with her before, letters griping about my wild meadows or my ducks quacking at dawn, but nothing prepped me for this. A hotel, cinder blocks and all, rising on my soil, where rare marsh lilies bloomed. Linda's greed, fueled by dreams of HOA fees and a cushy cafe deal for her cousin, blinded her to the trust I'd locked in with my lawyer, Sarah Klein, a land shark who'd make her regret every nail driven into my dirt. It hit me that June day, jet-lagged from Thailand, when I rolled up my drive and saw cranes where my silo should have been. Workers buzzing like ants, the air humming with betrayal. I parked, hand shaking, and walked toward the site, my boots sinking into the churned-up earth. A gruff foreman blocked me. "Private property, buddy, move along." I swallowed fire, voice steady. "This is my land, pal. Who authorized this?" He smirked, pointing to a trailer where Linda strutted out, her teal tracksuit screaming money, her smile pure venom. "Well, look who's back. Missed your farm, Caleb," she cooed, like she owned the place. "What's this hotel doing on my property, Linda?" I growled, my calm fraying. She waved a hand. "No mistake, hon. This is HOA land now, acquired fair and square for our Crescent Hills Lodge. Cafe, gym, guest rooms, the works." Her eyes gleamed. "We sent notices. You were off gallivanting." I stepped closer. "I got no notices, and my land's not for sale, protected by covenants, Linda." She smirked. "Our paperwork's filed. Your farm's an eyesore. Underused. We're improving it." That word, improving, lit a fuse, but I remembered Sarah's trap, a trust we built to snare greedy HOAs like hers. And I knew Linda had just walked into a legal slaughterhouse. Her smugness burned, but I kept cool, my mind racing to the trust we'd set before I left. A fortress of clauses banning commercial builds, with penalties that'd bankrupt a small town, plus a survey marking every inch of my land, down to the lilies by the silo. I'd seen Linda's type before, her HOA sniffing my fields for years, dreaming of pools or condos to jack up fees. So Sarah and I had laced the trust with traps, fines for trespass, liens for building, and a mandate to restore any damage, all filed with the county. Quiet as a snake in the grass. Linda thought she'd rolled a nobody. She didn't know I'd spent my life guarding land like mine, or that Sarah's claws were sharper than her pink gel nails. "Show me your paperwork," I said, voice low, because my survey says different. Linda's smile twitched. "It's at the HOA office, legal as can be. Now, we've got a schedule." She turned, dismissing me, the foreman chuckling, but I stood there, the hum of their cranes fueling my resolve. This wasn't a fight. It was a reckoning, and I'd make sure every brick came down. I barely slept, the rumble of their machines haunting my dreams, but by dawn, I was at the county records office, coffee in hand, digging through their lies. The clerk, Betty, a friend from past deed hunts, raised an eyebrow. "Crescent Hills trouble, Caleb?" I nodded. "They built a hotel on my farm, say they own it." Betty gasped, pulling files, and there it was, a quitclaim deed, my signature forged, transferring my 80 acres to the HOA, notarized by some ghost stamp. Their survey? A joke. Lines redrawn, a creek moved, my lily patch ignored. Permits, rushed by a shady planner. skipped the farm's covenants and wetland status. I snapped photos, my blood hot, but hands steady, knowing Linda's paperwork was fraud, pure and simple. I drove to Sarah's office, spreading the files on her desk like a war map. Her eyes lit up. This isn't trespass, Caleb. It's conspiracy, forgery, a legal buffet. She grinned. They tripped every clause in your trust penalties. Liens, the works. Let's bury them. We crafted a cease and desist, sent certified to Linda, her board, and the builders, demanding they stop and vacate, citing my deed, survey, and trust's $1 million fines. Sarah cackled. Every nail they hammer's another zero on their bill. Linda didn't blink. Her voicemail dripped venom. Caleb, your lawyer's letter's a joke. We're legal, and your harassment won't stop our lodge. We've got resources, back off. I smirked, saving it, as construction roared on. Cranes lifting beams where my lilies once grew. I upped the ante, hiding pro-grade trail cams around the site, night vision, weatherproof, catching every truck, every worker. Even Linda posing for a news crew, crowing about her community gym weeks after our letter. I walked my land, GPS in hand, snapping G-tagged photos of my markers, proving their survey lied. The churned earth a stab to my gut, but fuel for my fight. Linda's fines started flooding my mailbox. Pink slips for my ugly garden, my no trespass signs, my farm's mess, each one photographed. Sent to Sarah, her file growing like a tumor. A board member, Carl, nervous and sweaty, knocked one evening. Linda says we can settle. A few grand, free lodge access. I leaned in. For stealing my land, forging my name, killing my lilies? Tell Linda Sarah Klein says hi. Carl bolted, pale as a ghost, knowing their hole was deep and getting deeper. Then came a game changer. Mrs. Clara Wade, a quiet widow from Crescent Hills, slipped me an envelope, eyes darting. Linda's wrong, Caleb, this isn't right. Inside, a typed note and USB proof Linda took kickbacks from the contractor, inflated budgets, and planned to lease the lodge's cafe to her cousin for pennies. Emails, budgets, her cousin's deal, all damning. Slipped under Clara's door by a fed-up insider. I want my neighborhood back, Clara whispered, her courage a spark. Sarah pounced, fraud, self-dealing. This isn't an HOA, it's a racket. We filed a monster lawsuit, trespass, fraud, conspiracy, naming Linda and her board personally, demanding demolition, restoration, and damages to make their eyes bleed. I caught a new survey crew planting fake markers, had the sheriff toss them for trespass, my cams rolling, their embarrassment sweet. Linda slapped suit, claiming my fight was harassment. Got laughed out of court, Sarah's evidence. My deed, survey, footage, bulletproof. The HOA kept building, thinking speed would save them. But every beam was a nail in their coffin. Sarah's voice in my ear. Let him dig. Makes our win bigger. The turning point came at the injunction hearing. A packed courtroom buzzing as Linda, in a coral blazer, smirked, her lawyer, Grant Sterling, oozing confidence. Sarah stood, cool as ice, laying out my century-old deed, my survey's GPS pins, the trust's no-build clauses, then shredding their forged deed. Its signature a cartoon scrawl, the notary a fake. She rolled footage of Crane's post-cease and desist, Linda's news clip boasting about our land, proof they knew it was mine. The kicker. Clara's evidence, emails of Linda's kickbacks, her cousin's lease, budgets bloated for profit. This isn't a mix-up, Your Honor, it's a crime spree, Sarah said, voice sharp. Linda's not building a lodge, she's stealing for herself. Linda's smirk vanished, her board squirming, Sterling stuttering. Context. Questionable trust. The judge, a grizzled vet, leaned forward. Ms. Carver, you ignored legal notices to enrich yourself? Linda rambled. It's for the community. But the judge wasn't buying, granting the injunction, halting construction, ordering an HOA audit. Get separate lawyers, she told the board, eyeing Linda. This stinks of misconduct. The gavel cracked. Linda's empire cracked with it, Clara whispering, thank you. As we left, the trap sprung wide open. Construction stopped cold, the hotel a silent husk, crews gone by dawn, Crescent Hills reeling. The audit hit like a bomb, leaked reports of Linda's kickbacks. Shell companies, her cousin's deal a sparking resident fury. Emergency meetings packed the community center, not Linda's show but a homeowner revolt, demanding her head. She hid, stressed. Her Escalade vanished as board members quit, apologizing to residents, not me, their new lawyer, Ms. Evans, begging to settle. We negotiated hard. Millions for my fees, land damage, and trust penalties, funneled to conservation, full demolition, every brick hauled off, restoration by ecologists, my lilies replanted, my sign-off required. Linda settled alone, selling her Escalade. Downsizing, banned from HOAs, a DA probe nailing her with fines and service, her name mud. Demolition took months, careful, methodical, the land regrade, lilies sprouting, my farm breathing again. I watched, coffee in hand, not gloating but grounded, knowing my granddad's soil was mine, restored by their sweat and cash. Crescent Hills changed, new leaders, humbled. Asked my help for a real community garden, no trespass this time. Clara baked me bread. You saved us, Caleb. I felt it. Not just my land, but a neighborhood freed, my trust a shield for both. But last month, a flyer hit my box and signed, pitching new community projects, Linda's Ghost in Ink. I started willowbintruth.com, our saga at 110,000 views. With tales of HOA fines for flags or ducks. Linda's gone, her Escalade dust, but her kind lingers. What happens when the next bully eyes your land? Not with cranes, but quieter greed. How do you keep your fields free when power creeps back? Drop a comment. Have you fought an HOA land grab, stood for your roots, or seen justice bloom? What's your story, and how do we hold our ground? Let's keep these lilies growing, because out here, peace is only as strong as the trap you set.